Hello, my name is Christopher Renstrom. I'm the creator of rulingplanets.com and Christopher Renstrom Astrology. And I want to welcome you to my weekly horoscope forecast for July 29th to August 4th. This week, we see two amazing planetary aspects taking place. The first one will be Venus-Uranus square taking place on August 2nd, and the second one that I want to talk to you about is the new moon taking place in the zodiac sign of Leo on August 4th. But first, let me talk to you a little bit about the planet Uranus. Uranus is the planet of revolution and change. It's the first of the three modern planets that were discovered between the years of 1781 and 1930. Uranus was discovered at the midpoint between the American War for Independence and the French Revolution, hence its reputation for revolution and change. Uranus, when it impacts your horoscope, is always going to bring some sort of turn of the wheel. This is interesting because Uranus is the only planet in our solar system that orbits the Sun, rotating on its side. In other words, its north and south poles are where our equators are. So this image of a wheel in a sky turning is accentuated by the rings of Uranus also appearing vertically rather than horizontally, like for instance with Saturn. This planetary wheel in the sky that is turning can also be likened to the Wheel of Fortune as it appears in the Tarot. The Wheel of Fortune was an image that was very popular in the Middle Ages. It was this idea that fortune was fickle. One day you could be on top of the wheel, you could be celebrating your good fortune and maybe even toasting cups of wine with a beloved or a comrade or friend. And then the next day that wheel could turn and you could see your fortunes plummet. They could fall from the height that they were on the day that you were celebrating to the depths. And so this could be a very frightening idea of being knocked off your perch. At the bottom of the wheel was often shown a figure, usually a man, being crunched underneath the weight of the wheel, someone who had fallen to his lowest low, his nadir, and had nothing to look forward to, and was completely crushed under the foot of fortune. But was that person at the bottom of the wheel crushed and forever destroyed? No, because the wheel was always turning. And so what it testified to was the fact that those who were crushed or at the bottom, who had nothing to look forward to, could suddenly be raised from the depths, that they could have a comeback, that they could have a second act, that they could rise through their own personal resources and ingenuity to rise again, to once more approach the zenith or the top of their fortune. So this idea of a wheel that was constantly turning, on one hand, it could be seen as being very pessimistic, which was, don't believe in your fortune, it may not last, you never know when you're going to take a downward spiral. Or it could also be seen as optimistic, that even if you were crushed beneath the wheel and your prospects were hopeless, you never knew if that wheel would turn and you would rise again. So these were the ideas that were associated to Uranus. On one hand, it could be the instability of revolution and change, but on the other hand, it could be an overthrow of the established order. It could be a changing of the rules. It could be an upturn in fortunes that could suddenly lift you from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. So unexpected turnarounds and surprise about faces abound when Venus in Leo forms a square to Uranus in Taurus on August 2nd, and in the most public way. Why public? Because Venus in Leo does everything out in the open for everyone to see. So you may be discovering sides of people you thought you knew, but now realize that you don't, while finding yourself left high and dry by those who promised to be there for you. It's both eye-opening and jaw-dropping, because this planetary square impacts those relationships that have always appeared fixed and solid. But it's not all bad, because you could see the return of friends you haven't seen in years, as well as beloved old bosses or ex-clients, as well as people you were crushing on in high school who now feel ready to reveal to you that they had shared the same feelings all along. It's a wild and crazy week where you can expect to ricochet between amazing revelations of, I didn't believe that this could ever happen, or agonizing realizations where it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do next? So, eat lightly, remember to breathe, and keep your sense of humor handy. Hello, Aries. The big planetary aspect for you this week is the new moon in Leo, taking place on August 4th. The new moon in Leo shows that you're determined to get what you want. And this kind of bravado that you feel is exactly what's needed to make people feel like choosing you was the best choice that they could ever make in their life. You're going to come on strong, you're going to win them over with your show of courage, and people are going to be absolutely taken away with your sense of conviction and purpose. However, I must remind you that new moons are also famous for representing emotional blind spots in a horoscope. So, what could possibly be your emotional blind spot to look out for this week? Well, it looks like this new moon in Leo may be covering for a recent hurt or disappointment that you experienced. Something that you didn't see coming, and something that you are not at all pleased about. And being an Aries, this is only going to fire up your resolve to move on to the next thing. However, you need to make sure that you truly want what you want, and that you're not doing this to get back at someone, or you're not doing this to make yourself move on to the next idea. Because if that is indeed your motive for going after something new and different and wowing people with your special Aries charisma, then you may find yourself tumbling headlong into an emotional debacle that's even more complicated than the one that you just freed yourself from. Hello, Taurus. You were born under the most industrious sign of the zodiac. That means that your work, time, and money will always be your top priorities. It's easy to get caught up in the workaday whirl of the things that you need to get done. It's easy to get caught up with appointments, deadlines, and meetings. But you also have to remember that you were born under the planet Venus. And Venus is all about honoring and valuing those very real human resources that matter so much to you. Those very real human resources that enrich and support your life. Now, as a Taurus, you've had the planet Uranus, the planet of revolution and change, spinning like a top through your zodiac sign since 2018. At first, it threw everything into disarray, but over the years, you've kind of gotten used to working with the unpredictable element that's being thrown into your everyday life. That's why this week, when we experience the Venus-Uranus square that will be taking place on August 2nd, it's not going to be you who's having your life thrown into disarray. It's not going to be you who's experiencing things being turned upside down or inside out. It's going to be the people that you care about. It's going to be the people that you work with. So this is why it's so important for you this week to check in with a harried colleague or a coworker who's feeling the heat of pressure, to see how they're doing, to see if they need any sort of help. Just you checking in will make them feel so much better about themselves. Maybe they'll ask for some help with a problem or an issue that you're struggling with. And being a Taurus, you'll be more than happy to be there for them. And this is how you, as a Taurus, could redirect the Venus-Uranus square, which could potentially be acrimonious, into a direction that will be positive and constructive for you as well as others. Hello, Gemini. The big question for you this week is there more to a friendship than just friendship? That's the question you'll be asking on August 4th, when there's a new moon in the zodiac sign of Leo. Now, the attraction that you feel for this person and that this person feels for you is undeniable. But the problem is, one of you is not free to explore their feelings. Maybe you're the one who's in a relationship where you're already spoken for. In any case, this is not a great time to act on what those feelings are. Obviously, the easiest course of action would be to just let things be. And that's exactly what you should do, as long as Venus is traveling through the zodiac sign of Virgo. This is a time in which you don't really want to play with fire, in which you really don't want to step outside of what would be the friend zone, in which you want to very much emphasize that your buddies, your friends, and even if the person is making hints, you're going to pretend like you just don't get them. This is the best way to work with the energy of Venus passing through Virgo. Now, will it always be like that? No, it won't always be like that. But once Venus enters Libra and forms a trine to the planet Pluto on August 29, it's assured that you will find yourself involved in an entirely different conversation. A conversation that will be much more to your liking, and a conversation where you and this person will be much more on the same page. Hello, Cancer. This week, you're being given an out, and you should take it. You may not like admitting defeat, but you can recognize when you're losing ground. This is something that will become immediately apparent when there's a new moon in the zodiac sign of Leo on August 4th. This is when you will realize that one, if not maybe two, of your projects, enterprises, or ventures are not going anywhere. Now, we all want to believe that anything that's slow out of the starting gate can pick up momentum if we give it enough oomph, if we believe in it, or maybe even redouble our efforts. But the realization that this new moon in Leo will bring is that this project or venture or enterprise isn't going anywhere fast. It's kind of a dud. And that this would be a really good time to cut ties with it. A, because it's taking energy and focus away from other areas of your life, and B, because you have an extraordinary Jupiter sextile that's picking up the energy of the new moon in Leo. This Jupiter sextile is coming from an area of your solar horoscope where someone that you're already working with, or maybe perhaps it was someone you used to work with, their star is on the rise, and they're looking to work with someone of your talents, your skills, and abilities. This is a phone call that needs to be made, a text that should be answered, or an email that you should respond to. It's great news for them that their star is on the rise, but it's also great news for you if you can hook your wagon to it. Go ahead and do that this week, and you won't feel so bad about letting go of things that really haven't been working out for you. Now, you can always return to it later, but right now, you need to focus on the projects that are going somewhere and table the ones that are not. Hello, Leo. The big phrase for you this week is, it's not all about you. Now, that's usually a phrase that you hear when someone thinks you're being egotistical or calling attention to yourself. But that's not how I want to use the phrase with you this week. It's not all about you is something very important to keep in mind when there's a new moon in Leo on August 4th. The reason for this is that new moons can create emotional blind spots. Emotional blind spots where we don't really see ourselves clearly. Now, right now, you are the subject of an embattled conversation. Maybe you're a prize that two people are fighting over, or maybe two people are trying to pin the blame on you for a failed project, venture, or enterprise. The reality is, it's for others to take responsibility for their actions. You may be the prize, you may be the disappointment, but it's not about you, which you'll be led to believe because of the new moon in Leo. It's really about them, which means that the best response you can have to a situation like this is to remove yourself and to let them hash out their differences. And then when you feel like they have, you can go ahead and make your reappearance and answer for the things that do have to do with you. Let's say you're the prize that's been won. You can show gratitude to the person who won you and grace to the person who didn't. And let's say people have figured out who's responsible for whatever mishap or disappointment took place. You can take responsibility for your part by making sure that the others are taking responsibility for theirs. Virgo, there's good news for you this week because Venus, planet of love and beauty, enters your zodiac sign on August 4th. Venus always pumps up the powers of attraction when she's traveling through your zodiac sign, so you can expect invites, offers, and valuable introductions. Yet you can have a hard time with Venus traveling through your sign. Where most people would revel in the attention, you can't help feeling that there are strings attached, that there are hidden agendas you don't know about, unspoken expectations, or certain pressures that are going to be applied if you don't behave accordingly. That's why you should sift carefully through all the entreaties that are being made. It's why you should focus on separating the wheat from the chaff. There's nothing wrong with being discriminating, especially in this day and age when Venus is traveling through your sign. And if anyone can be discriminating, it's you. Venus will be in Virgo until August 29th. Libra is a zodiac sign that's happy to let others do the talking. It's a great way to learn about what's on their mind. You can absorb what they say and wait until later to judge for yourself what's valuable. As a Libra, you're a terrific listener and don't always like to talk about yourself. You've always believed in keeping other people guessing. But that all changes on August 4th, when the new moon in Leo forces you to commit to a position before others make that commitment for you. Gone are the days of ambiguity and open-ended options, or at least for the next month. If you want to control the narrative, which is what you're going to be forced to do, then you're going to want to switch positions from the reader to the author. Scorpio. It isn't easy being in the passenger seat while your partner navigates all the twists and turns on a winding road. Being a Scorpio, you want to grab hold of the wheel, but you need to learn to keep your hands to yourself. Uranus in Taurus means that all the craziness is taking place on your partner's side of the fence and not yours. They're the conduit for change, and they're the ones who are going to have to deal with it. Scorpios, however, hate being cast in a secondary role. You hate having to sit back and watch someone else go and do the things that you feel that you're better equipped to do. But nevertheless, this is what you need to do, because your partner needs your support. And that support can be a heartfelt support, or that support could be non-intervention. In any case, your partner needs your support, your understanding to navigate all of those hairpin turns. And if you are solidly in your partner's corner, you will see your partner and yourself emerge from this chaotic time no worse for wear. Sagittarius, you may wonder why you're not getting the recognition that you deserve. You work hard on projects and always deliver. So why the lackluster praise from a supervisor or boss? Well, as you might imagine, there's more going on than meets the eye. The reason for this lukewarm reception is that you are more valuable than you know. They're afraid of you discovering that they need you more than you need them. It's an awkward position for you to be in, but one you'll need to navigate this week. One could say that you should be confident enough that you don't need their praise and their support. You know you do a wonderful job, and you should take comfort in that. That's one way of looking at this. But then again, given the new moon in Leo taking place on August 4th, the question might you not be better off working with people who truly appreciate you for who you are, who don't feel like they have to hold back on the praise and the recognition, who are secure enough in their own egos to go ahead and celebrate your accomplishments? It's food for thought, you wondering if you shouldn't change who you're working for, and it's something that you'll be thinking about seriously over the next few weeks to come. Capricorn. It looks like you'll be receiving an offer this week that you can't possibly refuse. But unfortunately, you have to. That's because you're already spoken for. You're already in a relationship, you're already working for someone, you've already committed yourself to a client. But boy, oh boy, is it going to drive you nuts having to turn down such a golden, such a wonderful, such a juicy opportunity. Well, there is a new moon taking place in Leo on August 4th, and that new moon also happens to be forming a sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that you could come up with another alternative. In other words, if you're in a relationship that you're not too happy in, you might ask for a temporary separation to go and explore your feelings. If you're already working for someone, you might ask if you could maybe move to a temporary part-time situation. In any case, it looks like you will be able to work out something that everyone can agree to, as long as you're upfront and upbeat. Hello, Aquarius. Few zodiac signs are as stoic and responsible as you. You possess enormous self-control and will always step outside of a heated moment to ask what would serve the greater good in the long run. This is why people look up to you. This is why people come to you for advice and direction. It's also why you're surrounded by some people who feel free to make lazy choices. They know that you'll make things work out in the end, and in the process, they also know that you will cover for them. That is why they will be in for a rude awakening on August 2nd, when Venus forms a square to Uranus in the sky. This is when you will decide to stop covering for colleagues who don't deserve it and to let them deal with the consequences. You know full well that they're long overdue for a day of reckoning, and that day of reckoning will take place on August 2nd. Hey Pisces, you know you can do better. So why are you settling for what you can get? Is this about having a poor self-image, or is it about staying inside your comfort zone? The wonderful thing about the new moon in Leo on August 4th is that it's going to give you a shot of audacity. A shot of audacity right to the system. Audacity, it's a wonderful word. It's a word that we often associate with being arrogant or reckless or maybe even full of ourselves. But what audacity really speaks to is a knowledge of yourself and what you can do, and taking a risk, betting on yourself, standing in your own corner so that you can be the best that you can be, and being audacious enough to make that request, to take that leap, to take that risk. Audacity is a wonderful, leonine word, and it's a word that will definitely be resonating with you on August 4th. Moreover, this audacity is going to give you the courage to change your circumstances. Pisces people are always being told to keep their light under a bushel. They're being told to be modest. They're being told to be humble. They're being told to be long-suffering. Well, the new moon in Leo is going to change all of that. It's going to signal that it's time to stop accepting being the lesser glory and time to step into being the luminous person you were truly meant to be. If you enjoyed what you saw, please press the like button. It helps more than you know. If you could subscribe, that would be wonderful. I've had such a wonderful time visiting with you this week, and I can't wait to get together next time on Christopher Renstrom Astrology.